Alrighty, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Wide Eye Sports. Today, it's the dynamic duo of Brenner and Spoon coming at you live with some mock draft central shit going down. We got some stuff to look at today. No, we got a mock draft, a very special mock draft from the people over at Fantasy Pros. They took 172 different experts and compiled all of their information into one mock draft and gave the average pick at each slot, what they thought was going to happen, and even based it off the accuracy of said experts in previous drafts. They went deep for us, so we're going to get right into things. We're going to take a look. So I'm going to pull that up here on the screen for everybody. Here we go. From the most accurate experts they could find. So here's the full list of all the experts. You got all these guys, all
100 dudes.
Just 170.
Oh shit, more.
172 experts.
Yeah.
Compiled all for our viewing pleasure of one single great mock draft, and we love to see it. So, with that being said, we're going to get right underway. We'll jump into the first overall pick. Caleb Williams, 100%, all 172 across the board. Yeah, I think pretty fair to say it's probably going to be the pick.
Yeah, I don't see a world where the Bears pass on Caleb Williams here.
Unless they keep Fields. And I think any team that trades up with the Bears, if they keep Fields, ends up taking Caleb Williams with the number 1 overall pick. So that's the number 1. Number 2, we have Drake May, and then 33% had Jaden Daniels going number 2. I do know Bucky Brooks recently came out and said he had Jaden Daniels as his QB2 in this draft over Drake May. So some potential rise for Jaden Daniels.
I was going to say when it comes to them too, it's a coin flip, I feel like, in a lot of these mock drafts. Like a lot of them I'm seeing Drake May go second. A lot of them I'm seeing Jaden Daniels go second. Yeah. It's just they're both there. They're both excellent quarterbacks. I just don't know which one to put above the other one either. I would probably lean Drake May, though.
I was about to say, the number 2 pick comes down to whose skill set do you like more? Do you want the Lamar Jackson prototype or do you want the Justin Herbert, Josh Allen prototype? Like, who do you want? Because Drake May's ceiling is Josh Allen. Jaden Daniels' ceiling is Lamar Jackson. Like those, I mean, 2 great quarterbacks. Now they both have super low floors because of that. I mean, Drake May's floor is a Daniel Jones, and Jaden Daniels' floor is a Travaris Jackson. So both super low floors, both super high highs. You don't really know. It's going to be, do they have the right coach?
I also look at what they did last year as well and look at the conferences that both of them played in. And obviously, Jaden Daniels had a much tougher conference playing in the SEC, and he put up more passing yards than Drake May did. So I think that's what teams are seeing when it comes to Jaden Daniels, the fact that he played in the SEC and Drake May played against a very weak ACC.
So the Drake May thing boils down to the prototype, right? Like he's the prototypical tall, strong arm, pocket, good mobility. He's that guy. Jaden Daniels is Lamar Jackson 2.0, but Lamar Jackson did in the ACC. Jaden Daniels did everything plus some that Lamar Jackson did in college, except he did it in the SEC, which is more impressive in my opinion. So I don't know how you don't have Jaden Daniels. If you're willing to build an offense around him, which some people aren't, but if you are, how he isn't the dude you take. After Caleb, of course. And then Arizona, we all expect them to take Marvin Harrison Jr. to give to Kyler Murray as a bright, shiny new toy. The Chargers, I think they go Brock Bowers here. Now, there's 2 tackles, Fashanu and Alt, that get mocked here a lot, but I think they go Brock Bowers. I think they can't potentially lose out on a weapon like that for Justin Herbert.
Another person that's not listed there that I want to throw into the mix as well is Malik Neighbors. I could see a world where their salary cap issues. They could cut one of their wide receivers, and they're gonna need a wide receiver too. And I think Malik Neighbors would be great. I mean, he played with Jaden Daniels, stepped up, awesome job. I could see a world where he goes 5th as well.
Well, right there at 6, Malik Neighbors and Roma Dunze. I mean, both of them sitting there for the Giants. Seems like the Giants are taking a probably going to take a wide receiver. And then the Titans back again. I see, man, I wouldn't be shocked. I know it says Brock Bowers, tight end. I wouldn't be shocked to see Tennessee take a chance on a defender here. I mean, I know it seems kind of crazy, but they need defensive help. Yeah. I wouldn't be shocked by it.
Like a Jared Verse or yeah.
I also wouldn't be shocked to see Brock Bowers, Malik Neighbors, and Roma Dunze go in that 5 to 7. All three of them go 5 to 7, right? In different whatever order you want. And then 8, the Falcons. Notice the second name in the Falcons. 20% of the people these experts have them taking J.J. McCarthy at 8. That is crazy to me that he has jumped that much in the past 3 weeks. I mean, when the draft process started, he was a late 3rd rounder or early 3rd rounder, late 2nd rounder. And people have just continued. I know Spoon thinks he's AJ McCarron 2.0.
I do. I think it's crazy that people are starting to put him this high, honestly. Whenever, I mean, let another team snag him. If I was the Atlanta Falcons, I would not touch JJ McCarthy here.
See, I'm on the opposite. I'm on the opposite boat. I think JJ he was able to, with minimal receivers and minimal attempts, he was able to produce every time. He had the most when
I have his stats here, I'm ready to go over them.
so sorry. The only thing I put a lot of stock into with McCarthy is when Michigan needed him most, he delivered every time. 3rd and 10, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 12. They put the ball in his hands and he was accurate with it. So that's my biggest thing is when the pressure got high, he delivered regardless of if they needed him to or not. But what's your stat?
I think he's a system quarterback is all it is.
I don't hate that.
I don't think when it comes to him, you're not going to get the outstanding play that I think that you would get from a Michael Penix or a Bo Nix here.
See, I think him and Penix I think he's right above Penix. I think him and Penix are very similar, and I think he's just above Penix. Bo Nix, you get the mobility.
So when you look at total passing yards last year in the college football, when you look at the stats, Michael Penix and Bo Nix were 1-2.
Yeah, absolutely.
JJ McCarthy, he was all the way down at 34.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, he did not get the same attempts that the other guys got by any means.
Like it just when I'm looking at this, it just doesn't make any sense to me how we're talking about
the raw numbers. You got to turn on the film. You got to turn on the film.
I get that, but I watched the whole Texas game. He ate us alive. He ate our secondary alive, and every pass that he made just about was right on the money in a tight window that only great quarterbacks could do. That's why I'm high on Michael Penix, because I watched him eat up my own Texas Longhorns in the college football playoff. And it was embarrassing. I'm sitting here watching him throw dimes left and right. And I'm telling you right now, if you put JJ McCarthy in that scenario, I don't think he would have.
I think he could have done it. The thing with Penix is he can throw. Penix doesn't have the touch. He can bullet a ball into any window you need him to. He's got that NFL high caliber arm. It's the touch passes. He can't take that off. He's very Brett Favre-ian. He's just gonna fire it in there. But he's smarter than a Brett Favre type. And then his injury history. That's the number one thing, man.
Right.
4 season-ending joint injuries, 2 shoulders, 2 knees. That's hard to.
But you saw what happened when Washington finally put a good offensive line in front of him.
Absolutely. And he stayed healthy for 2 full seasons at Washington and took him to a national title game. He is absolutely talented. And if his injury history wasn't there, he would be a top 5 pick. But you could pick him and he could never play a down. That's a potential.
I understand.
Not a high potential, but a potential. So I don't know. It's hard to stick with him. All right, but with that, we're going to move on to the Bears. Bears are really up in the air with what they do with this 9 pick. I think they end up going to trade back out of this. I think they are going to take their guy here, and here they're going to have guys wanting to jump up over the Jets, over the Vikings potentially, even over the Broncos. And I think they're going to end up trading out of this pick and acquiring another first round pick next year or another second round pick this year or something along those lines.
I think here's a great spot where a team could trade up and possibly try to get their quarterback that they want instead of waiting late in the first round.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then the Jets are another trade back candidate. They don't really have a glaring need. They do have a really good team around them, and with Aaron Rodgers coming back healthy, they could be really dangerous next year. So they're another big trade back candidate.
Yep.
Then we have the Vikings, who I do not think, if you've watched the show before, I really don't think they'll be picking here. I think they're going to trade up and go get their quarterback. But if they do pick here, D-line, huge need for us, potentially losing Danielle Hunter. We don't really have anything after Danielle Hunter. So
are you hoping that they possibly take J.J. McCarthy here? Would you be fine with it?
If they took yeah, I would.
Because I could see a world where they probably take Bo Nix here, maybe.
Oh God, I'd be so upset if we took Bo Nix.
Really?
I do not like Bo Nix. I think he has played 5 seasons in the NCAA and has played against. So here's my thing: SEC competition is obviously more intense than Pac-12 competition, right? It's Correct. 2 different styles of ball. One style of ball is ground and pound, the other is air it out. In the Pac-12 is an air it out was an air it out conference. Defenses are garbage, and you just go for big stats. Michael Penix too. Yeah, I just don't think. I think he had inflated stats. I think his SEC time is more representative of who he is, and the Pac-12 time is more like, look what I can do when the defense doesn't play defense. So
I know, but he outperformed Caleb Williams this year. So
yeah, he did. Caleb Williams had a garbage year, but I think that had a lot to do with the coaching staff at USC. So
I can see that as well.
That's my personal opinion. A lot of people disagree with that, but personal opinions here. And then here we go. Denver taking either a quarterback or a defender. I could see it going either way here. Adding another stud cornerback to go into their secondary would be huge. Taking a rookie quarterback would be huge.
Well, you also talked about the Broncos possibly cutting a corner, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Salary cap. So if they do that, I could see them probably
taking a corner.
Yeah.
So same with the Raiders. The Raiders could use they got a new defensive head coach in Antonio Pierce. So definitely could see them going trenches or just defense in general. The Saints, a lot of cap casualties there. I see them trading out of this spot to acquire more draft picks because they need help. They need help everywhere, and they got a plan for the future because they're going to lose a lot of guys. The Colts, I like them going quarterback here. Like, I just don't see them needing a whole lot else at this spot that could really help them.
Right.
Seattle, man, they got the new head coach. I don't see them not going defense here. There's going to be a lot of good defenders left right here. There's going to be 4 or 5 defenders off the board maybe, so you're getting a top 10 defender in this draft. I see them going defense.
I mean, right here you still have probably Dallas Turner available.
Yeah.
Byron Murphy still available. I could see, or is Latu? Could he still be?
Latu could absolutely be on the board still, so I could see them going there. The Jaguars, I see them going trenches here. I think there's going to be 5 or 6 tackle/guards taken in the first round, so I see them going trenches there. The Bengals, 100% Byron Murphy II. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Texas boy, I see it. I see them getting some help on that defense. If it's not him, they're going to get it somewhere else.
I mean, yeah. I could also see the Bengals trading up with like the Broncos if they don't have their quarterback there for a Latu or a what's the other
Dallas Turner.
Dallas Turner, thank you. I couldn't think of his name.
No, you're good.
And then Pittsburgh's a wild card here. I really don't know what they're gonna do. They could trade up for a quarterback. They could trade for a Fields. They could sign a Wilson. They could sign a Cousins. They could do a lot here, and it just really depends on what they do in free agency, I feel like, before
Pittsburgh
we know.
Is a weird one because I think that I truly believe they're getting a quarterback. They're going to be getting a new quarterback this offseason.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Kenny Pickett's garbage. Kenny Pickett's thrown 13 touchdown passes in 2 seasons as a starter.
if they don't think Justin Fields is the answer, which they're the favorite right now to land him, could they possibly draft a quarterback at number 20? I don't know. They could. I mean, Michael Penix Jr., Bo Nix might still be there.
Both
will
probably be there.
Yeah,
both will probably, which leads me to a trade back with a Green Bay, with a Detroit, with a Baltimore for, somebody more talented that those teams would want, and then taking your quarterback later, accumulating more picks. This is that prime. This is also a prime wide receiver spot, like taking late round receivers in these high teens, low 20s. So that could be another potential for Pittsburgh with the disgruntled receivers they've had in the past few seasons there. And then we're going to go ahead and scroll on down here to Miami. Man, Miami's losing a lot of guys. They're going to go defense. I think there's no way they don't go defense here. I know 3 offensive guys mocked to them. I guess I could see line because their guard and their center are both potential free agents, so I could see it, but I really think they're going to end up with a defender there at 21.
I feel like they're going to go offensive line, though.
Philly,
I agree.
Philly's going to go D-line. That Chop Robinson, that's a very high potential there, I feel like.
I don't know. I feel like they might go corner.
I
feel like they could really use the help.
They'll sign a corner in free agency. They'll go that route.
Okay.
That's what I think, anyways. And then Houston, man, Houston's got the cream of the crop right here, man. Houston can go BPA, whatever the best player on the board is, whether that's a receiver, whether that's a cornerback, whether that's a fucking linebacker. They can just take their pick. The Cowboys, 100% going trenches. You might disagree. I think there's no world in which they don't go trenches here. They're probably losing Tyron. Either one. Yeah. Either one. They need D tackle help, and they're going to need offensive tackle help too. Yep. So either one. They're going to take best tackle, offensive or defensive, on the board at the time is what I would anticipate they do. And when you know it, 50-50 D tackle, 50-50 offensive tackle. So
like I said, whenever we were going over the mock, I want them to take a defensive lineman, but honestly, I see the Cowboys going offensive lineman.
Fair enough. And then you have the Green Bay Packers, which Jair Alexander probably gone. They probably go cornerback. I don't know if Kool-Aid McKinstry is going to be left at 25. That's a bit optimistic, but I could definitely see them going offensive lineman, with Bakhtiari being a potential cap casualty, which we talked about earlier this week on the podcast.
I mean, it's kind of crazy. I keep seeing Kool-Aid McKinstry's draft stock just go down. Like
it's because there's so much talent everywhere else. He's not getting worse. It's just everybody else is getting more hype.
Yeah.
Just everybody's getting more and more and more hype, and he keeps falling because of that. So, I mean, he could potentially be this low, but I think come draft day, a Seattle, a Indy, possibly even in New Orleans if they don't trade out, could take Kool-Aid. And I would be shocked to see him. Yeah, Houston could take him if he's. I think he won't make it past Houston. That's a good point. I don't think he makes it past Houston with what's the other Stingley, Derek Stingley. Shout out Stingley. They're across from him, and then you have Tampa Bay. Man, I don't know. That's a rough one for me. I don't know who they're gonna take. They have a lot of they could lose Mike Evans. They could go receiver. They could go interior D line. They might not have a quarterback.
Tampa Bay is a huge wild card here, and one of the things I was going to bring up when we got there was that I'm seeing a lot of mocks where they do draft a quarterback here.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me at all.
I'm seeing a bunch of them, and I don't think that's what they do. And the reason why is because I think Baker did just fine. He did excellent. I think they re-signed him. Probably.
I think he wants to be back there. Most likely.
I do think that too.
They still have Chris Godwin there. They still have some talented pieces on that O-line. They're not scraping together scraps. So I still think Baker ends up there.
I mean, the Buccaneers still have enough cap space where they could probably keep Mike Evans.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure Mike Evans wants to go back.
Yeah, I mean, he's been there for years, and I see it where they're probably going to draft some defensive help, honestly.
Yeah, I can see it. All right, Arizona, I believe they got this pick from Houston. They swapped first rounders. I don't know, man. This is late. I could see this being a trade out of the first round. You know, if JJ McCarthy is sitting here and has fallen, who's to stop Atlanta from jumping and from the second round and back into the first round?
Yep.
All to be open and honest, everything after the Bucks, everything after that is prime trade down potential. The Bills, I see them going wide receiver. Brian Thomas Jr. 100%. I don't know if he'll be left there, but that would be a great pick for them. The Lions, apparently, is that Leicester? How you say that? Lassiter? Lassiter?
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm not. We're gonna find out. We'll find out. We'll have it right next time. So apparently that's a lock pick. I could definitely see them going cornerback. JJ ate them up for $162 and a touchdown with Nick Mullins throwing him 50-50 balls. So, I definitely see that being a position of need. The Ravens going receiver, tackle, or D-tackle here wouldn't surprise me in the least. I would definitely love to see Brian Thomas Jr. play with Lamar. I think that'd be fucking electric with Zay Flowers, him, and Mark Andrews healthy. Fucking awesome. The Niners, man, I don't see the Niners making a pick here. They need help because they're in cap hell. So they need some help. So they got to get out of that. I see them acquiring more picks, getting out of there. And then Kansas City, one of the third youngest team in the league, is going to add more young talent. Probably go receiver here. Probably go maybe even running back. They'll probably go best offensive skill player available, whether that's tight end, running back, or wide receiver. I would anticipate that's where they go. Give Pat some help. Their defense is young. They're playing good. They have talent. Get your quarterback some help and go win some more football games.
I feel like wide receiver is definitely the answer for them there.
Yeah.
But who knows?
It just depends on who's left, dude.
Yeah.
Keon Coleman will be
who knows? Maybe an offensive tackle falls that they really, really like, and they end up getting a lineman. Who knows?
Yeah. I tell you one thing. We don't know.
Yeah. we don't know.
We don't have shit. So next up, last thing we got to talk about here is earlier today, the NFL.com dropped a possible trade packages for the number one overall pick. And I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on them, Spoon. So number one is Washington trading up with Chicago, and Washington would get the first overall pick, and Chicago in return would get a first this year, 2 seconds this year, and a 2024 third this year. So overall, they would jump one spot. So Chicago would get the second overall pick, 2 first rounders, and a third round pick for moving back one spot.
I think they'd be giving up too much.
You think they'd be giving up too much? I think that with a lot of these. And
it sounds like Colin Cowherd coming out and saying like, "Oh yeah, you need to trade all this and get just for." It's crazy.
Yeah,
crap that he said.
All of this sounds like a lot to me, but they're reporting it, so I'm just trying to get thoughts and opinions on it. So that's what we're doing. So the next one is the Pats jumping up from 3. Chicago would get a first round pick this year, a second round pick this year, a first round pick next year, and a third round pick in 2026. So 4 total picks, a first and a second this year, a first next year, and a third in 2 years.
I mean, that doesn't sound as bad as the other one, I guess. I don't know, man. I think it's way too much just to move up one spot. Or, well, I guess that would be
two spots. I think the Washington one's high. If you think those are high, wait till we get into these, dude. You think those are high? All right, so this one's New York, the Giants, moving up from 6 to 1. So New York would get the first overall pick. That's it. The Giants would give up a 2024 first round pick, second round pick, third round pick, and then a 25 first round pick and a 26 first round pick.
Oh, bro. Hell no. I'm not doing that.
Imagine. And these were all like based off, I don't know how if you know, for those of you listening at home, the NFL translates picks and players into point values for this. There's lots of different ones. There's fan side, there's Stat Geek, there's tons of different ones out there. There's no official one that every team uses. Every team uses a different one. They did these based on the average of how previous trades to get the number 1 overall pick had kind of worked out. And they based the number 1 overall pick being 3,000 points, and all of these offers are between 33 and 37,000 or 3,700 points. So they are overpaying, and they acknowledge that, but they're realizing they have to overpay to get the pick because they're not going to just trade for a 50-50. So last one here is Atlanta. So that would be from 8 to 1. So Atlanta would get the first overall pick and Khalil Herbert from Chicago.
Okay.
So you're getting a running back
that they don't need.
Oh, well, maybe they do after this trade. So Chicago would be receiving a 2024 first-round pick. So that's the 8th overall pick. A third-round pick this year. A 2025 first-round pick. A 2026 second-round pick. So you're getting a first, a third, a first, and then a second in 2 years. And Bijan Robinson.
Bruh. I mean, I knew that you were going to say Bijan Robinson, but
yeah.
I mean, the Falcons really didn't utilize him, so I could see a world where
but that was with Arthur. But that was with Arthur Smith. Now they got a new head coach in there. That was with dumbass Arthur Smith, who's a fucking idiot.
I don't know how you don't use your
best players. Yeah. Your best players. Just use your best players, dude. You got all this talent. Use the talent.
That's way too much. I feel like that's still way too much.
And the crazy part is this was like a 3,600 point offer. So it's only like 500 points over. So
I don't know. Like whenever you're talking about Atlanta, I don't see a world where they trade up to the number 1 pick, but I do see a world where they trade up to the number 2, maybe the number 3, get one of those top 3 quarterbacks going off the board.
Here's what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen, in my opinion. I think they so one of two things. Okay, either Minnesota will end up trading up and getting their quarterback of the future, or Atlanta will trade up and take Jaden Daniels. One of those two will happen, in my opinion. Those are my two most likely things. I don't think Denver trades up.
Nope.
I don't think that the Titans trade up with Will Levis being taken last year. I think you have too much invested in too recent of a time. And he showed he can ball. Like, he wasn't bad. He had some rookie hardships, but I think you can look on the tape and be like, okay, we have a
potential.
Yeah, we have something we can work with here. If people are willing to give up a second-round pick for Justin Fields, I think Will Levis has earned some leeway. So,
and then the Giants,
that everybody keeps saying, what are the Giants going to do at quarterback? They paid Daniel Jones $40 million a year on average. They are not just going to eat all that money. That's not going to. No, that is instant fire material. If you just looked at your ownership and went, yeah, I know last year we agreed to give this guy like $100 million over the next 5 years, guaranteed, but I think we should just give all that to him now and go draft somebody else. I mean, your ownership is going to look at you and go, I guess I need a new head coach then. So you got to remember, it may be the smart move to go and win football games to get rid of Daniel Jones, but these head coaches and GMs have to answer to their owners and be like, listen, this is why I think we should do this, because these owners are still, everybody always says, oh, these owners have so much money. They're still writing these checks. Every time you hear about a player getting signed to a $200 million fully guaranteed contract, guess who's writing that $200 million check? That does not feel good to write. I don't care how much money you have. $200 million is still $200 million. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Jeff Bezos. Okay. It hurts to write that check. And now, granted, it may not hurt as badly as somebody like you and me, but it still hurts. So
go ahead.
I just don't think they move off Daniel Jones for that reason.
No, I don't think so either. I think they're like you said, they're paying him way too much. They're not just gonna they're just not just going to bench him and draft a top quarterback here.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the Titans, you mentioned the Giants, you mentioned the Falcons, you mentioned the Vikings. Do you see a world where the Raiders trade up and possibly go with a quarterback?
Yeah, I do. I definitely do. I could see it with a trade up with like New York, but that requires somebody to fall.
Exactly.
The Raiders are good enough, or were good enough last year that they got a mid-round first. So, I mean, you saw what they're saying Atlanta needed to use to move up from 8 to 1. Can you imagine what the haul would look like for 15 to 1? Yep. That would be insane. Like that would be
13 to 1. But I don't know if they would move up.
Yeah.
I don't think they'd move up to the number 1 pick here, but I could see them like possibly trying to, I don't know, move up to 4 because maybe the Patriots shock us and go with a wide receiver instead of a quarterback.
Yeah.
Like I could see that happening 100%. I could see the Patriots. The Patriots are always a wild card. You never know if they're actually going to take the quarterback but with a new coach, they might go ahead and draft a quarterback.
So I just wanted to pull up just Daniel Jones' salary for the Giants fans out there. So if they cut him, so say they draft a first-round quarterback this year, right? This year alone, they would be that would hurt them. That would send them negative $22 million more into the cap. So I don't know what the Giants' current exact cap situation is.
I think they're like, what is it, 20?
They're sitting at $20 million in cap space.
Yeah.
So if they did that, that would be. Yeah, that would send them negative right there. So that would be a no-go. Can't do that. Yeah. So
there's just I think on draft night we're going to all be shocked because I truly believe that a lot of these teams are going to start reaching for these quarterbacks.
Man, I hope not, because like for say with the Daniel Jones, so like if they took a guy with Daniel Jones, they'd have to keep Daniel Jones because cutting him would send them $3 million into the negative right out the gate. Now next year they can cut him and save $20 million against the cap, so that's good. Now you're still paying him $22 million next year to not play for you, and then $11 million the year after that to not play for you. So you're paying him $34 million all in all over the next 2 years if you cut him after this season. Like you don't want to, as an owner, you don't want to write a $35 million check to a guy who's not going to play for you. Like it's terrible. So but they will save $47.5 million against the cap in 2026 if they cut him. So that's probably the better alternative, to cut him then save $11 million, or spend the $11 million to save the $47 million and cut him.
Right.
Then, but that's a few years down the road. So how can you justify taking the quarterback now?
Yep. And I don't see them doing that. Like, why would they draft Michael Penix or even Bo Nix here whenever they're already like 20? They're going to be 24, 25 years old.
Yeah.
Per season. Like they're really old for college quarterbacks.
They'll be coming out of their first real contract at 30.
Yep.
They'll be 30 years old in their first season playing on their non-rookie deals. Like, that's crazy to me. And now, granted, Tom Brady played till he was 40, whatever, but he's the exception, not the rule. Like, look at Kirk Cousins, Achilles, Aaron Rodgers, Achilles. These quarterbacks get hurt when they get older. Not everybody can just play till they're 46 years old and win Super Bowls every year. Like, that's what makes Tom Brady the GOAT, is that he did that. Like, not everybody can do that.
Well, I mean, you saw it this year. You saw how many quarterbacks got injured this year.
Half the league was injured this year.
Exactly. I personally think that if anybody takes any of those guys, it's going to be people that are like ready for, they need one direly, and they're ready to make some kind of run right off the bat and hope that it pays off.
See, I think so. Like the Vikings, for example, right? Like I think they're going to trade up, and I think it's not because they're ready to make a Super Bowl run right now, but it's because they have JJ, they have Jordan Addison, they have TJ Hawkinson, they have two stalwart tackles, probably a top 5, top 3 tackle duo in the NFL. So, and then Brian Flores took us from the 32nd ranked defense to a top 15 ranked defense in 1 year with scrubs. So, and for a lot of the year, we were top 10. So I think that you put a rookie quarterback into that situation, and now they can learn and develop and become great in an easier situation. Whereas I don't believe that in the NFL, like I believe in life, a lot of things like hellfire and brimstone will only make you stronger, right? But in the NFL, hellfire and brimstone will only get you kicked out the league. So I just don't. I think you need to have a good setup around the player for them to succeed. It's very rare that you get a CJ Stroud that comes into a 3-win team and takes you to the playoffs. Like that never happens. It's always the Patrick Mahomes where you have Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, good tackles, a good defense playing behind you. Those guys succeed.
Yep.
Peyton Manning was garbage his first couple seasons because he had Marvin Harrison. That was it. That was his team. And then they got some other guys in there. They started winning, rattling off MVPs, winning Super Bowls. But yeah, that's really all I got. We got the mock, we got the trade offers. You got anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I want to end it on this. Brenner, I would not be shocked if the Vikings don't move at all and they take Bo Nix. That's what I'm gonna end it with.
I'm gonna be so upset if that happens.
I would not be upset. If I was a Vikings fan, I wouldn't be upset with that.
So here's my thing. I am a front of the jersey fan. You put whatever name you want on the back of that jersey. If my head coach says this is the guy, I will back that to the end of time. So if they decide Bo Nix is the guy, I will back them 100% until it is blatantly obvious that he is not the guy. So I'm a front of the jersey guy. I will back the Vikings on whatever decision they make. So what else can you do? All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. We got the Combine next week, so make sure to tune into that next Wednesday, and we'll see you then.
Yep. See you guys.